Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We are so excited to share this space with you all tonight, all the way from Texas. And Callie, where are you tonight? Tell us where you are.
I am in Playas, Ecuador, on the coast.
All right, all right. We are so happy to share this space with you all because we have a really special treat tonight for our season 2 of Math for Anti-Racism, episode 1. I cannot wait. I want to thank you first for joining us from wherever you are. And I also want to say I'm so excited that you guys are here with us in this new year where we will be embarking on amazing journeys together. We're going to really jump right into this because, you know, this will be a little bit of a different episode. We had the amazing opportunity and the honor to interview my family, my grandmother, as well as my mother, who you'll find a little bit more about their background pretty soon. But this is actually something that we were able to record yesterday. And so in consideration of that, we won't be able to take questions, but we do need your energy. We do need your good vibes. We do need your love. So spam that comment box, you know, that chat box, and make sure you're talking to us because we're with you as we're watching this together. And we really look forward to speaking with you guys very soon. And if you do have a question, you know, feel free to ask it. Although we won't have the speakers here with us tonight, we'll try to get an answer to you as soon as possible. But we're sending so much love. You know, again, my name is Suhailah, and I am the individual giving manager, and I have Callie with us, who is our director of global partnerships, and we're excited to be here with you tonight. So Callie, tell us, you know, quickly, tell us about the season and what this episode is about.
Sure, yes. So as we launch into season 2 with Math for Anti-Racism as an organization, Teachers to Teachers Global, we are super eager to see all that we learn and to invite you into that learning alongside of us as we really dig into what is quality math education anyways, and how does anti-racism support the work of defining that. You know, our organization is all about building quality math education programs through collaborative partnerships that drive greater social justice. And so we really want to examine, how does anti-racism define quality math education? How does it inform how we work together and collaborate in partnership? And then what role does it play? You know, it's essential for anti-racism to be, it is such a central focus of any social justice work. And so we're really excited to learn together this season. And so, yeah, we invite you to join in along with us, share your comments, questions, anything like that. And through this episode, something that's really unique about it is that we really get to see here through the lived experiences of a family what it is that we believe is possible for the world. So this is such an example of how math and anti-racism have led to a more just society for a family. And so we just really invite you to come in eyes and ears wide open and ready to engage with us.
Yeah, thank you, Callie. Let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? Without further ado, I would love to introduce, and I'm honored to introduce my grandmother, Dr. Elvira Williams, a graduate of Howard University in Washington, D.C. She began her academic career at North Carolina Central University. In 1977, she received her doctorate degree in physics from Howard University. She also became the first woman of African descent in the state of North Carolina to earn a doctorate degree in physics. Secondly, she became the 4th African-American woman in the United States to receive that award. Her academic journey started from the countryside of Pollocksville to the heights of academics as Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at Shawn University in Raleigh, North Carolina. She is also very well known as the physics queen. So thank you, Grandma, for joining us today. And you know, for the purpose of the conversation, you'll be Dr. Williams to the family here at T to T. But I want to say thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate you, you know, today.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. I also have the amazing pleasure of introducing my mother, who has also cemented my understanding of what Black excellence looks like. Shawn Muslim. I am just so excited to be able to do this today with my family, but there's some really awesome conversations that I hope to get to. But I want to just tell you a little bit about who my mother is. But she is a mother of 10 children. I'm not the only one, who graduated with honors with her bachelor's in physics and her master's in environmental physics. When she graduated her college, she had actually started, attending university about 30 years ago. And through so many trials and tribulations, she was able to receive her degree and go on to pursue a master's degree in environmental physics. And she spent most of her life as an educator, and where she was the principal of her own Islamic school, where she brought the values of Islam and education and quality education for our community members to the forefront. The work that my grandmother started did not just end with her. It went on to my mother, and it went on to my sister, and I then was a catalyst of that work. And so I just wanted to pay homage to that. So thank you both for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're really going to jump right in because we have some really awesome questions that we want to get to. The first being, I would love to really talk about what quality math education means to you, Dr. Williams. What does that look like for you? Why does it matter, and where do you see anti-racism work show up in quality math education?
When you know something, it helps you to embrace it to the point that it becomes a part of what you enjoy, because the fear is gone. It also, having the fear gone, it makes you feel self-confident, relaxed around it. That way you can think clearly and see that math is very basic. It's everywhere. And it's very, very important. It's important in everything that you do. We use it every day. Everyone does. It's to some degree. And so to know it, math, is to see the relevancy of it. When something is relevant to you, there's an affinity there that makes one want to know more about it, because it brings the person's self into the picture.
Yeah.
It's not something they don't feel like it's something for others to know, but it affects themselves. And so they tend to feel self-confident. Their self-image rises.
Yeah.
So it shows relationships too.
Yeah.
Mathematical equations. They can show relationships between things that are important to people.
It can also provide circumstance. And so instead of just offering an opinion, when we know math, when we make it akin to who we are, it can become proof of experience, when we are proposing new ideas for our community that will help us, uplift and advance the work within our community and the condition of the people within the community. And so I completely understand and hear what you're saying, because to know math, to accept math is to truly love it, and it only advances our work together.
Exactly.
Mom, what would you say about quality math education?
Well, I was in junior high, and we changed junior high schools, and I came with good academic records that clearly showed I was capable of doing advanced math. But I was placed in a regular math class, regardless of the fact that my transcript it showed that I could perform well in gifted and talented classes. And I remember being in the classroom with other students, and I wasn't being challenged because I was used to a faster pace and more critical thinking. So I immediately recognized that that wasn't happening in this general education classroom, and I went to my mother, Dr. Williams, and I complained to her that I'm in the wrong class, and this isn't challenging for me. It's not going to get me anywhere. It's not going to get me to where I want it to be because I already knew what I wanted to do in terms of going to school. At that time, I wanted to be an astronaut. And not being in an advanced math class was not going to help that situation. So my mother, as always, my number one support, immediately we went back to the school and she told the principal that I needed to be in a higher level math class. And I remember him asking me, why? Why do you think this math class is wrong for you? And I explained to him what I just explained to you right now. So I felt afraid for a small period of time that they weren't going to believe that I was capable. The school that I transferred from was predominantly a predominantly white school, and I transferred into this other school that was not. And I thought that they wouldn't believe me. They wouldn't believe that I could perform the way the other kids did in the advanced class. Needless to say, my mother spoke up for me. She was my advocate, and they put me in the right class. And once I entered that classroom and I no longer knew all the answers, I knew I was where I was supposed to be, because that's part of math. Math is a puzzle. And if it comes too easily to you, then maybe there's some more that you need to know to get to the point where you don't know all the answers, which is where the fun starts.
I really love that explanation and that detail, because at that time you had to be an advocate for yourself, you know? And I think a lot of us fall into that space where we do have to figure out that there is a solution, you know, take some time to do some critical thinking and figure out that there is a better solution. And it takes each of us being an advocate for ourselves. Dr. Williams, for you, like, you know, and I'm gonna call you grandma every now and again, because this is a living room conversation, right? But for you, what did that experience in math class look like for you as a student? How did it compare to how you saw other students experiencing math? Because the time where you were in class was a lot different for me, and a lot different from my mother. And so what did that look like for you? What was that experience like?
Well, I guess I'm fortunate because I happen to be the leader in the class in mathematics. So I knew that it was a beautiful subject.
Yeah.
I remember, well, in those days when I went to school, in high school and junior high, and even in elementary, we had excellent teachers. Unlike you and your mother, my daughter Shawn, I didn't go to school with anything with any other race except my own race. In those early years, in those middle years, in the high school years, and I was fortunate enough to have good teachers. They told us that we could reach the sky, we could do anything. So the encouragement from the teachers, priceless. It made me feel like I could do it.
Yeah.
And then my parents, they were both very encouraging to me, though they were reared during a time in which the Blacks didn't go to college as much as now. They were both valedictorians of their classes, and very eager to continue lifelong learning. And so they, in addition to the teachers, told me you can do whatever you want to do. And they pushed education. So I was very fortunate to have the kind of teacher, both at home and at school, that encouraged me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that is one of the biggest pluses that students can have, is someone to encourage them. As my daughter Shawn claims that I did. I'll accept that. I tried.
Yeah. What I love that you pointed out is about the influence and impact of educators.
Yes, very important.
Our work at Teachers to Teachers Global really focuses on supporting and uplifting and providing collaboration with educators, because they are the people who come in consistent contact with the next generation and who are trying to encourage them to be, like you said, do what they want to do, be who they want to be, and do it well.
Yes.
And they ask them, to maintain accountability for the way in which they learn, and the way in which they learn from each other. They ask this of students, and so that's really important. And I also love that you mentioned how not only was it, your teachers who were encouraging you, but it was also your parents, and I think a lot of times the idea might come off as though, when you came up in school, Grandma, it may have been a very different situation and circumstance than when my mother and I came up in school.
Yes.
But, Black history is encouraging. It is kind. It is thoughtful. It's engaging. It's curious. And
yes.
What I love is that you kind of showcase that in the relationship that you had with your educators, as well as the relationship that you had with your parents, who had no intentions of slowing down when it came to rearing you. But what would you say to a student or a teacher who is math phobic, who doesn't see math as something relevant to their life? You kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, Grandma. This kind of comes up so easily, and we don't really think about it when someone says, "Oh, I'm not a math person. Don't look at me. I'm not a math person." There's that fear around getting it wrong. But yeah, what would you say, Grandma?
I would say, have you tried it? That would be my question. And of course, what I would mean by that is, how much have you studied it? Mm-hmm. Or did the teacher show extra love for it to the point that they were able to excite you about it? Because you can do anything that you want to do. I would encourage them. As a matter of fact, not too long ago, I was visiting my hometown, and a young man that I taught in high school saw me, came to me and said, "I want to thank you for encouraging me to feel like I could do whatever I wanted to do." That's including mathematics, because he wasn't that interested in mathematics when I first knew him. So a person has to believe that they can do it. And getting a good, fresh first start with mathematics is the thing that can give them that impetus to want to go on and learn it, because it still holds true. To know it is to love it. It's a beautiful subject, but you won't know that. One wouldn't know that if they had not had some experience, some positive interaction with the concept of doing mathematics.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell them. Always tell my students, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to me what it was that they wanted to do. You had to put yourself into it. And this student came up to me, hadn't seen me in 30 years, and thanked me for telling him, you can do it.
Mm.
You can do it. And he went on and made a good showing in his chosen field. But the mathematics was there to help guide him through that, because he built up that confidence. He felt he had a good self-image.
Okay.
So to develop that self-image, to say, look, I can do this thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Mom, what would you say? How would you say, to a student what would you say to a student who is math phobic, or an educator who thinks that they're, not the math person?
Part of overcoming any phobia is becoming familiar and accepting whatever that subject is or whatever that thing is. For math, being afraid of it, part of it comes from not understanding it. So math is a language. And languages, when they're written, as mathematics oftentimes is a written language, you have to know how to read it. You have to know, in order to read English, you need to recognize words. And before you can recognize the words, you need to understand the letters. And those letters are just symbols for sounds. The same with mathematics. So if you haven't identified where the gap is, that's what creates the fear. So when you have a teacher, it doesn't even have to be a teacher. Sometimes it can be another student, one who gets it. Your peer can really help. But when you find someone who can help break that language down so that you understand it, and then on top of it, identify where you got off track so that you can fill in those holes, you find that the fear kind of goes away.
I totally agree.
I started off as a physics major and didn't love math. How is that even possible? Because in order to do physics, you have to do math. By the time I graduated, I had a minor in math, and I loved math. I had done math so much, I did it until I loved it.
Yes.
And the times where I didn't love math, it only came when I didn't understand the language. At some point, I went from general math into an abstract type of math, and I couldn't speak the language. When I had to do proofs, when I had to really understand geometry and take algebra to the next level, it became difficult. But it was just a matter of practice and a matter of somebody explaining to me what these symbols and numbers meant in a language that I could understand it. Once I understood the language, then it became easy and became fun again, as it had been in the past.
I totally agree with that.
Me too.
Agree. You mentioned math proving things, and the major topic here is relevance of mathematics to racism. I love the way mathematics can help you deal with vectors. And I'm taking some of this from what I'm hearing you say, Shawn. You mentioned something about proving. You get into certain proofs. Those proofs actually help. They're teaching you the real things to understand in order to understand the math. If you pull from mathematics vectors for a moment and let them be represented by arrows, which is the way they're represented in mathematics, and let a vector represent an effort towards some target, because we know that a vector has not only magnitude, but also magnitude or size, but also direction. Mm-hmm. If one considers a target that they're trying to get to, say, several people, say the United States of America is moving towards some particular target that they need help in order to get there.
Yeah.
And they have people who exert certain efforts towards getting to that target. We can even use perhaps the solution to the virus that is sweeping the world. If all of the efforts that are being exerted are in the same direction, that is of getting to the virus, the understanding of the virus. So that's the objective is to get to that particular target of fully understanding the virus. It's best if everybody working on it are all trying to understand it, not some working toward it to understand it, while some other vector is going in another direction. Yeah. And when we look at racism, we need to get all of our efforts towards whatever target we've chosen in the same direction, because they then line up and give the greatest force. If any of them are not aligned, it takes away from the effort to reach that target. And if you leave out one group, say a certain race is left out, then you're not going to get the greatest
impact,
the very largest payoff, because that effort is not aligned with the rest of it. And if we look at that as racism, the thing that puts it off the target track, it's not good for the entity involved that is trying to get the virus, say, taken care of. Or it could be trying to get our people well versed in mathematics so that they can join the effort of the STEM groups. Yeah. If they don't have that mathematics, they can't participate in the jobs of the future, no matter what those jobs are, whether it's trying to eradicate the virus or whatever it happens to be. You're putting out one of the efforts or one of the vectors that math you can use that to illustrate it. So you can use mathematics, in other words, to prove that it's best to do the right thing for everybody involved. Yeah. That's why I like math for that, because it can illustrate things.
It's how we collaborate. Beautifully said. Thank you. So Mom, how would you say quality math education led to a more just society for your family? Mom, what would you say about that?
Math touches every subject. It's a science.
Absolutely.
And being able to be in a STEM major prepared me for just about anything. STEM connects with business. Of course, we know it connects with scientifically related jobs, engineering jobs, and medical jobs. Here lately, you find that occupations with a background in STEM pay more. It's one of the reasons that many people go into those fields, because the salary can be higher. And of course, if your salary is higher, then you're sometimes better able to take care of your family. But having a great understanding of the science of mathematics means that you can apply that in whatever occupation you have. So now what I do is more of actuary science, but still the actuary science that I'm making a career out of is based in mathematics.
Right.
So being able to truly understand mathematics on a general level as well as a higher level, you can apply that to any other subject because it is a science. Whether that be something like we've talked about with something as you would think as different as project management not being mathematics, but oh no,
Yeah.
mathematics is the key to project management because it's about managing time and making relationships, connecting one project to the next. That's mathematical. Or even using that skill that I have with mathematics to tutor. You know, I still have students, even though I'm not a principal anymore or a teacher in the classroom. I still tutor students, and one of the number one courses that I'm requested to tutor in is math.
Mhm.
So having an understanding of that allows me many different ways to help my family, whether it's using math to tutor kids or using math in my main job of actuary science, or even using math in what I also do, which is project management. Either way, um, when I'm fond of it, the subject, which I am, and I'm passionate about it, it spills over and allows me for quite a bit of success in the subject that it touches.
Absolutely. Thank you. Grandma, this question I think is going to come up a lot this month as we explore all of the different topics that we will, throughout Math for Anti-Racism Season 2. But one thing that I would love to know from you is, what would you say to math educators of the world who are celebrating Black History Month with their students, not just during February, but even after? What would you encourage them to do as they recognize the importance of Black History Month?
There have been so many things that Blacks have contributed to mathematics in the past that are not well known by the general public. Researching the subject of contributions to the field by people who are Blacks or non-white is something that I would encourage anybody to do, because you'll be amazed at the types of things that they have actually inventions.
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised to know just how many things there actually are that were invented that we don't get credit for, in terms of having been the motivator for that. There's one Black scientist I suppose most people know about, and that's George Washington Carver, and what he was able to do with a potato and the peanut that actually saved the South in America from having real problems with farming, because they took knowledge eventually of him and brought him to the White House and let him talk about what he had done. They promised he could talk 10 minutes on the accomplishments that he'd had with the potato and the peanut. And after about 2 hours, they begged him, please, don't stop now. Because there's so many things that he did. So if we take time to learn about the things that have been contributed to the entire world by Blacks, we would have a better understanding of why we should not have racism.
Mm.
Because without giving them the opportunity to explore their science, which is of course based on math, the world would be lacking a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm reminded now of a list of things that were invented by Blacks that they never got a chance to be recognized for it, but yet the whole world has benefited from it.
Mm-hmm.
So take time to do things like we're doing now, exploring the possibilities that we're not doing justice to ourselves when we don't include the contributions from everybody.
Yeah.
And how the world would be robbed of certain things if they do not allow these people to get the basics like mathematics so that they can produce, because they're very good at producing. And they start young. I start in kindergarten and before. Start even before they go to preschool, giving children confidence, letting them know that they can produce. And you'd be surprised, one would be surprised at what they can produce, because people are born as scientists. Those children are born as scientists. They learn how to walk by observing. That's one of the first things in the scientific method. They observe. And if you encourage them. Now, it has helped my family in particular because I got a granddaughter and a daughter. The most critical of thinkers. They make good choices.
Yeah.
And I'm so elated to have the opportunity to say this to the world. My family has been very much affected by having a good background in mathematics. I was even able myself to be invited to study in research at NASA, fulfilling one of my daughter's partial dreams, because I remember she wanted to go to NASA. And I had the opportunity to do nanoscience research there. And by my doing that, I see that I have, but not just that, but I see that I have inspired so many things in them, my posterity, that involves the sciences. And that makes me happy because I have helped them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud of them.
Yeah.
Very proud. And they're not the only ones. There are many of them coming up. Suhailah, you mentioned one of your sisters that has made a career.
Was killing it. It was absolutely not only an inspiration to me, but it's just such a source of a wealth of knowledge, and critical thinking. And one thing that she has always encouraged me to do is like, take it another step. Do the research.
Yes.
Be thoughtful about what you're saying. Make it make sense.
Yes.
And, sometimes I have to tuck my tail between my legs. I have to take a step back and say, okay, let me think about this a little bit more. And it comes so naturally for her. And I think that's beautiful. And I want to just, continue to encourage us all to be thoughtful. Mom, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was, because Mama mentioned engaging at a young age, and your sister, the bioinformatics person that you were just mentioning here, she said to me just last night in reference to her own son, when do I start with him, with teaching him math? Should it be kindergarten? And I said, oh no. She said, okay, so we want to get him started preschool. So preschool is what age, Mom? 4? Is that 4 years old? I said, oh no, much earlier than that. Just last night, I told her every step he takes, going upstairs or down, count. When you give him his Cheerios, count them. Make everything he touches in terms of games, make it about numbers. So while he's playing, he's learning. And she said, oh, count his Cheerios? I said, yes. He may not be able to say the numbers, but eventually he will. Even if he only mumbles the sounds of the numbers, he may not be able to say them correctly right now, but he will. And the more and more and more he hears it, the easier it will become for him. When there's no fear, there's no phobia, because you're familiar. And it starts immediately.
Yes.
Yeah. When there's no fear, there's no phobia. And let's get started now. I'm not gonna lie, like it brought a little tears to my eyes thinking about that, because I was just, he's coming up on his second birthday in May this year. And the fact that you're saying, count when he's going up the stairs, count when he's eating his Cheerios. You take that barrier of fear away from him in his youth. That as he grows, he only knows math as a benefit for him, as a benefit for his people, as a benefit for his community. And he is able to see that it was such a benefit for his mother, for his grandmother, for his great-grandmother, and so on. And so I think that's just a beautiful journey and exploration what a quality math education can do, because it is a human right to each of us. So with that, I want to say thank you both for joining me. I know that, we're in the middle of our living rooms right now, and we would have much preferred a different setting for this, but it also brought the connection that was necessary for this story. It's not over. And I just appreciate you guys, taking the time out to explore this subject with me.
Thank you very much for inviting me to participate.
My pleasure.
And you're an excellent example of a critical thinker.
Thank you, Grandma. I appreciate it.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow, what a inspiring and beautiful and thought-provoking conversation. Thank you so much for inviting us into that, Suhailah. Thank you everyone who is watching alongside with us, or who will continue to watch this in the days to come. We really hope that you have enjoyed it. I know I'm carrying so much away from this that I will continue to talk about and bring into my work. We invite you to do that alongside of us. Stay on the lookout for an invitation, especially our educators out there, to join our Participate community, where we will be engaging in even more conversation around Math for Anti-Racism and digging deeper into what we hear in these live chats. So thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you to our speakers, my mother, Shawn, my grandmother, Dr. Williams. I love you guys so much, and I'm very grateful to have you speak with me about such an important topic, and to my sister, who, like I said, is out here killing it. I hope you guys have a good night, and stay tuned for new episodes of Math for Anti-Racism during this season, and make sure that you are keeping your mask on and staying safe. We love you guys. Mask up and math on. Take care.